right? So I worked missions and prison ministry, and I worked with like 6 different churches in Jacksonville. So when I started doing the workshops, it was primarily just with churches. Um, but anyway, so I started doing them that way, and then eventually I started doing them in other places. So mira,
Ya,
I'm
yo
gonna,
tengo la impresión de que los pastores son medio cerrados, bro.
son súper cerrados.
So what was your approach, más more or less? Pues yo sé que toma un trabajo de campo y eso, pero
I'm gonna send you some pictures here real quick so you can see kind of how see some of the workshops that I've done. Me te lo mandé por WhatsApp.
wow.
So I've done at this point I've done them with churches. There's 26 libraries, public libraries in the city of Jacksonville, and I've done them. I do them with the libraries every single year. I don't do all 26 anymore. I do, I think 6 or 7 per year for the library now. Just because mucho. Um, so libraries, Wounded Warrior Project. There's 3 military bases here in Jacksonville. Um, man, so just I've just done them everywhere now at this
No.
point. So the first thing is figuring out which kind of businesses or nonprofits or whatever that you want to try and approach. And the easiest way to approach them is going to be with a inside connection. Like I've tried cold calling businesses. I've tried cold calling like daycares or driving by a daycare to give them a how many works book or a how many works book for kids. There's brochures from Nuveen, which is now something else. I can't remember who's got them now, but like the Scholar's Choice brochures on how to pay for college.
Yeah,
I used to like swing by and see if I could do it, and it's super hard to do it that way.
yeah,
So I
no.
figured the easiest way to get in is through someone already inside, right? So with churches, if you just straight approach a pastor, they're going to be very closed for 2 reasons. One,
I've noticed
uh,
it.
what is that?
I've noticed it because I try.
Yeah, son súper cerrados por 2 razones. Uno, porque tú no eres, you're a for-profit business person. So they're afraid that you're going to come in and sell.
Okay.
Um, and then the second reason is you don't go to that church. So they want people from their church they want to tap into the resources from people from their own church. So those are the 2 main reasons why pastors are very closed off to us coming in to do workshops. So the way I've gotten in is I'll have one pastor refer me to another pastor, or
Mm.
I'll look for certain people that I know have influence in that church. So an elder or someone that's part of the finance committee, that's what I look for. I don't look for the pastor directly. I try and look for somebody that can connect me to them. Um, if you can do a workshop at a church and they love it, that pastor can connect you to 10 other pastors. So that's how I've done it. I've done over 100 different churches, primarily all through referrals.
Wow.
So one pastor referring you to another pastor is the best way. Pero lo que yo he hecho is when I talk to somebody, um, and I say, "Hey, where do you go to church?" Because I just ask that kind of in general. Because if they don't go to church, then I invite them to my church. Um, but if they say, "Ah, yo voy a esta iglesia," I say, "Oh, cool. Who's the pastor there?" This person. Awesome. And how long have you been going? So I start probing them for to see how involved they are in church. And then I ask them, does your church have a finance committee or someone that's in charge of like finances for the church or teaching finances at the church? And most small churches don't have anything like that. Or if they do have a little committee, it's more of like managing the budget for the church, not anything
Right.
on the teaching side. So I said, awesome. Well, do you think that they would benefit from learning what I taught you? So, after I give them a presentation, do an F&A and help them, at that point, I'll say, do you think people from the church would benefit from this too? Absolutely. Okay. Do you think the person that's in charge of the finances, do you think we could schedule a time to meet with them? So I go in through the finance people, not directly to the pastor.
Mm,
So that's the way I get in on churches. So I've
wow.
done that probably maybe 20 or 30 times with different churches. Everything else is one pastor referring me to another pastor.
Okay.
So I've done workshops from one pastor to another pastor. From I've done workshops down in Miami, Tampa, Port St. Lucie, Daytona. I've done workshops all the way up to like Memphis, Tennessee. Just one pastor referring me to another pastor. So that's one way to get in with churches.
¿Y cómo hiciste
Uh,
con las inversiones, bro?
¿Cómo?
¿Cómo hiciste con las inversiones?
¿Cuáles inversiones?
¿Para cerrar inversiones o solo vida?
Uh, no, see, I do everything. So, um, because I do F&As for everybody. You
Right,
know, because there's two sides of how people close. It's either you just directly close or you do an F&A and then close. A mí me criaron en el negocio que you do an F&A for everybody and then you close off of the F&A.
right.
It provides uh, a more meaningful value,
Yeah,
and people
definitely.
see you more as a coach or an advisor, not so much a salesperson.
Mhm.
Uh, so doing F&As is big, but um, yeah. And then with daycares, what I do is anytime I close somebody that's got little kids, like 1, 2, 3 year olds or 4 year olds, I ask them, do you put your kids in daycare? And if they say yes, I said, do you know the director or at least like some of the admin people? So I go into explaining, look, we teach parents how they can start saving for their kids' college, but it's easier if their parents do it at a young age, not later. Because if you start trying to save for your kids' college when they're 15, it's too late. You're not going to be able to save enough money. But if you
Right,
start at one, you've got 17 years before they go to college. You could save. Let's say if you just saved your tax credit, which is $3,000, most people get a tax return, right? You and I, we don't get no tax returns.
right.
Right? But
Yo
most
sé.
people get a tax return and they get that $3,000 child tax credit. I say just put 2 or 3 thousand from your taxes into that college savings plan. That way, you're not having to save anything on a monthly basis. And in an 18-year time frame, you're going to end up putting in 36,000, and with compounding interest, it might grow to 60 or 70,000. How would you
Right,
like $70,000 for your kids' college and you didn't have to save it out of your monthly budget,
right.
right? So, but we teach a lot of different things like that with daycares because that's the best time for parents to start learning how to do it. So, do you think that would? So, I'd ask, do you think that's good for? Do you think that would be good for that daycare? And most people
Yeah.
say yes. I say great. Do you think you could give me a warm introduction to
Wow,
one of
good.
the directors or one of the admins?
Warm introduction. Okay.
So anybody that has their kid in daycare, they can connect you to the daycare. Now, the type of workshop that I do for a daycare is the how to save for college kind of daycare. And everybody that's going to go to that workshop, they're all 5 pointers. They all
Yeah,
work, all have kids, they all marry, you know what I mean? So it's the most perfect target market is people that have kids in daycare.
right.
But you can't do a how many works workshop because it's not related to the daycare. But if you do a how to pay for college workshop, parents are going to be really interested in that.
Y eso, ¿cuál usas tú? ¿Qué presentación usas para bajar o Go for College?
I just use the brochure, the how to pay for college brochure by, hold on, I can't remember who the daycares, how to pay for college. Yo qué hice esta cosa. I'll have to find it and I'll send it to you. It's a brochure by one of the companies that we broker for. It used
Okay.
to be Nuveen. I don't know who runs it now, but it's a phenomenal brochure. If you call them, call that company, they'll send you 30 of those brochures, and it's like actual brochures that you can give out.
Pero no
And
lo tienes en PDF.
I do have it in PDF. Once I find it, I'll email it to you.
Oh,
And then
gracias. Con eso
what
yo
I
puedo llamar a
do,
la compañía so they can send me one. They can send me a couple.
yeah. So ask for 30, and they'll send them to you for free. You just tell them, hey, I'm planning on doing a workshop at a daycare on how to save money for college. I was wanting to know if you could send me those brochures, and they're going to be super happy to do it.
Okay, good. Because I have this one here. Hold on, let me see here. Bueno, meta, investment, college plan. Oh, no, este es otro. How to pay for college. Brochure. Mira, yo tengo este. Um, um, pero ese era de Leg Mason y más viejo, bro, que mis abuelos.
Yeah, I have to find the brochure and send it to you.
Ahí te lo mandé. Pero eso es viejísimo, bro. Y hay otro que tenía yo que era espectacular, que me gustaba mucho, que era el que hablaba de, que explica todos los, pero ya es hasta está viejo.
Yeah, ese que tenés, you can still use that. And that's a good one too, because it's the same concepts. Like if you look at the one that,
Just color
the one,
choice.
it's this basically the same brochure. It's just one might be newer than the other, but it's the same concept.
Ah,
So
okay.
so churches and daycares. So churches ask everybody. Y yo he hecho workshops with all kinds of churches. So I've done workshops with Baptist churches, with Pentecostal churches. I've done workshops with Catholic churches. I've done workshops with Mormon churches. I've done workshops with um, Jehovah Witness churches. I've done
Wow.
workshops everywhere, man. So just find the right person that can introduce you to the decision maker. If you go straight to the decision maker, you might not have good luck with that.
Okay.
So a warm introduction is the most powerful thing.
Y normalmente digamos que yo tengo mis hijos en el en el jardín. How would you ask me, like, I already know that you say, "Hey, can you, would you mind giving me a warm introduction with this guy?"
Hmm.
But then
Yeah.
how? Text message, call?
So no, what I'll do is I'll say, mañana cuando usted pase a dejar a los niños en la guardería, menciónales que tienes un amigo que da clases gratis de cómo ahorrar para la educación de los hijos, y crees que sería buenísimo que lo hicieran acá en la guardería, que si está bien si te lo presento.
Wow.
And I'll have them take one of those little brochures with them and give it to the director. So
Okay.
I'll have them say that stuff in person, not
Okay.
phone call, not text, because they probably don't
Oti,
have
¿me,
the
me subes mi
director's
tableta?
cell phone number or anything like that. But when they drop the kid off the next day, they can talk, have them talk to those people.
Okay. Good stuff,
Uh,
bro.
when it comes to businesses Anytime I'm doing an F&A or doing something for somebody, I ask them where they work. If it's a big corporation, then I don't try because I've tried and I've never had luck with that.
Mhm.
But if it's a small size company, so like less than 100 employees, then I ask, do you guys have an HR department? Yes. Who could I talk to in HR where we could, teach about finances for the business and, show them all these different employee assistance programs that we can offer, financial employee assistance programs. And then lo que hago con los negocios es 100% lo que hace Chris with the How Money Works workshops. So that whole approach,
En el de
I got
las
that off of
seven
POF,
C's.
the seven C's and all that stuff. Yeah.
Okay, and how do you do to get referred by, let's say I'm your client, you sit down with me, I work with a small meat company, and you ask me about the HR person, and I know who he is. Same thing, the same thing you did with the
Same
parent?
thing. So I said, do you mind going tomorrow and just talking to them real quick? Say, hey, I've got this guy that teaches finances for small businesses, provides a bunch of like free benefits for businesses that help employees with finances. It'd be awesome if we had that, as a benefit here. Do you mind if I introduce you to him?
Wow,
And most people will say, yeah, that's fine. So then,
good.
then they'll give me their number, and I'll reach out, say, "Hey, this is Luke. This person gave me your contact info. They mentioned that we might be able to help you guys out with uh, some financial benefits, completely free. When can I swing by for a quick 15 minutes?" And then I go meet them in person. I take a How Money Works book everywhere. Lo tengo a la mano todo el tiempo.
And you
Uh,
just give it away.
yeah, I just give it away. I give How Many Works workshop, How Many Works books away all the time. Pero yo hago, so it's the How Many Works, pero en la parte de atrás, I've got the customized side of things. Donde está like my name and my contact info and my face.
Mm.
So yo mando a pedir estos on POL y estos son los que entrego.
¿Cuántos ordenas tú normalmente?
Um, when I'm low, if I've got less than 30, I'll order 100 at a time. Y hasta que baje a menos de 30 a 20, then I'll order another 100 of them.
¿Cuánto te cuestan esos?
It's like $1.50
Each?
per book.
Okay,
So
not bad.
150 bucks.
So about $300.
Was that?
Ah, si te cuestan oh, I'm sorry. No sabía que la cámara se quita por lo que está en el celular. Si es $1.50, entonces es 100 o sea, te cuesta
Yeah, $150.
yeah,
Pero if you think you're going to spend 150 bucks, if you handing these things out at a workshop or wherever you do, you
yeah.
get one client that pays for all of it.
Mañana
Because
mismo los voy a
we get
ordenar.
paid what, 500-600 bucks on one life app and over 1,000 bucks on one securities trade.
I'm ordering it tomorrow, bro.
Awesome. So yo mantengo estos libros conmigo all the time. Um, and you could also be creative with churches. So if you're able to get in on a church, you do the How Money Works workshop. You can say, let's schedule another one for the How Money Works for Kids, which is a parent guide on how parents can teach their kids about money. And then I do another one with like marriage and money. So I can do 2 or 3 different workshops with churches all the time.
Wow.
So I do that. Now, so these are some of the rules that I have with these things, which are the same rules that Chris goes by. Is I never talk about companies, products, or services. Y por eso me han dejado entrar en iglesias, en las escuelas, en las bases militares, is because I'm not soliciting business. I'm just going there to teach. That's
And
why I'm
then,
allowed into the library, the Jacksonville Public Libraries, is because I'm not soliciting business. I'm not going in there with some goofy sales pitch. I just go in and teach. And at the end, that's why I do very nonchalantly, I said, well, anybody that wants to sit down and I'd love, I'd be more than happy to help anybody out completely free. Um, let me get someone to give me a piece of paper, and you give me your name and your contact info, and we'll schedule a time where we can meet up. But I do that not. I never show up with like a clipboard with a page to put names on, because then that seems like it's soliciting. So that's why you do
Right.
it very nonchalantly at the end, like, hey, who can give me a piece of paper? Anybody that wants their own financial game plan and wants to sit down with me and have me look at your personal finances, let me get your contact info, and we'll schedule an appointment.
Hey, how do you do with the how many words says per America everywhere?
Um, I don't know. I haven't really looked at that. Espera, yo miro cuál es el que uso. Yo lo quité. So it's the How Money Works workshop,
Mm-hmm.
pero I took all the logos off. So it's the same
Okay.
stuff, right? Rule of 72 and uh, all these different concepts. Um, pero I removed the Primerica logo.
Okay.
Now, you know that you have to request permission from the company to be able to do these workshops, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So under POL, All Apps for Business and Client Management, on bottom right hand side, there's the speaking engagement stuff. You have to fill one of those out each time you have a workshop scheduled. And it's just for they want to cover their ass in case whatever. Pero técnicamente, like I've posted on Instagram, like, hey, I just did a workshop, and I get an email the next day like, hey, we just saw you did a workshop, but we don't have a request approved for this. Damn it. So
Wow.
these people, yeah, I've been flagged on social media a bunch of times for stuff that I post. I post like the watches, some of the watches that I've got, and el carro, and workshops and that kind of stuff.
A mí hubo una época que me daban durísimo.
A
Hasta
mí
que
hace
dejé,
poquito, yo puse la foto de when we won our $100,000 ring and we put the plaque and everything. They had me take it down because it said $100,000. I'm like, oh, so
pero,
fuck.
pero, sí, pero otras jerarquías muestran Rolls Royce,
See,
they
like the
talk about,
Barrigans post shit all the
¿qué me
time.
dices de los naranjos, Miguel y Lich,
También.
con el
Es que
Rolex?
a lot of their accounts now are private, set to private. If it's private, they can post whatever they want. But if it's public, that's where you get in trouble. And
Okay,
I keep my profile public because if people are going to look me up, I want to make sure that they can see a little bit about who I am or whatever.
okay, well,
Um,
oye, good stuff, bro.
so yo siempre empiezo los talleres. I start if it's at a church, I always start off with a prayer, and I end with a prayer. Uh, and everywhere else, obviously, I don't do that. But I always start off saying, "Look, before I even introduce myself, I want to let you know that that I'm here to provide you guys with knowledge and education on personal finances. We're not going to talk about products, companies, products, or services. There's no goofy sales pitch here today. We're here just to learn. And second, I come bearing gifts. So everything that you guys are going to see on the PowerPoint or whatever is in these books, and I'm going to give these books out at the end as well. So um, I start off with those two promises: no goofy sales pitch, and I come bearing gifts. And then from there, I tell my story, and then I jump right into teaching. Pero siempre empiezo con mi historia, like who I am and where I come from and how I got involved with this. Uh, and then I jump into the thing. Y al final de every workshop, I say, outside of the education that I just provide you guys and the books that you're going to get for free, we also sit down and give people a free financial plan. And if that's something that you would like, or if you want me to sit down and look at, some of your personal stuff and give you some advice, more than happy to do that, and we do it completely free on that side of things for
Okay.
attending.
Wow.
So that's how I kind of close towards an FNA.
Good, bro.
So it's 100%. The way yo entro a los lugares is 100% networking, no cold calling, no none of that stuff. Is constantly yo pensando who can introduce me to different places. So, and the main places, pero yo miro aquí los lugares que he ido. Where's this note? Te voy a mostrar la nota de my. The third one was a small family business, which was referred to me by the first family business that I did. The fourth one I did for a realtor. So a realtor did like a how to buy a house, and then I came in on the back end saying, okay, now that you've bought a house, let me show you how to pay it off faster. Right. So it talked about the debt elimination stuff, but still then scheduled, hey, let me put a free debt stacking plan for you together. And then I got the appointments that way. So a realtor, then a church, then another church, another church, another church. That's that church was in Tennessee. Another church, another church, another church, another church. Then I did one for a restaurant for their staff. Um, and the guy that I did the workshop for the realty stuff, the realtor, he introduced me to his brother who owns a pretty fancy restaurant in St. Augustine, and they got a good sized staff. So I went in and did a workshop for them. And then I also set up uh, their simple plan. So their 401k, but because it's less than 100 employees, we set up a simple. So I run their whole retirement program for that restaurant too. Then a church, then a daycare. And I got into the daycare because a client of mine did that connection for me with the director. Then another church in Orlando. Then that one daycare introduced me to another daycare. Then another. Who do you recommend
So
for
you
tax
send a massive text to your contacts?
to clients? Yeah, I just send out like 20 texts to 20 clients saying, "Hey, who does your taxes?" And they gave me el nombre de sus contadores, or their tax preparers. So what
Okay.
I did is I said, "Do you mind introducing me?" Right? They introduced me to these two accountants. I went and did met with them, and I said, "Hey, look, we can provide financial employee assistance programs for your small businesses. And what we could do is we can teach about retirement programs like IRAs, SEPs, Simples, and 401ks for your business, for your small businesses that you do accounting for. That way they can learn how they can get tax deductions, but at the same time, keep the money. Because a lot of businesses, to get the tax deductions, they have to spend the money, right? A construction business, if they want a tax write-off, they buy a truck. That truck no vale nada en 5 años, right? It gets beat up, super used. See, so people buy equipment and stuff that over time devalues. Well, here you can get that same tax deduction, but it grows in value. So I do that for accountants all the time as well. Mañana tengo un lunch meeting con Rooney Martinez, who's this big, huge like account here in Jacksonville. He's a client of mine for a couple of years, y que él quiere que organicemos los talleres para el resto de año. Now
Wow.
that he's done with his tax season, now we're going to be start doing workshops for small business owners, and he's got like 400 small businesses that he does accounting for. So accountants are phenomenal, and you approach it on like the business side of things, like benefits for businesses. Um, so retirement benefits, the Primerica prepaid legal for businesses. Um, the what else? So those are the two main things that I do. And then we do what we call the financial employee assistance programs, which is we give free education in staff meetings, and then we give every employee a free financial plan, and then I just send them to the Primerica Wellness Workshops.com or PrimericaWorkshops.com website, and it's got like all the statistics and the videos and all that stuff that kind of sells them
And
on
how do you call that one?
the Financial Employee Assistance Program,
So fancy.
FEAP. If you look at large corporations like Walmart tiene un programa que se llama EAP, Employee Assistance Programs. And so when Walmart employees are having alcohol abuse, they send them to AA. If they're having marital problems, they've got like licensed counselors that help them with marital problems as a benefit through Walmart. So does Bank of America. So these large corporations, they have employee assistance programs, EAPs. Well, we have a financial employee assistance program where we help them with educating their employees and giving them a plan, and that reduces their stress, which makes them more productive at work.
FAPs.
FEAP.
Oh, Financial Employee Assistance Program.
Yeah,
Wow.
EAP.
He aprendido mucho.
And it's basically financial wellness workshops and FNAs. Those are two things that we can offer. And then for benefits, we can offer so like SEPs, Simples, and 401ks, and Primerica, the prepaid legal stuff. Y ya ese sí no es gratis porque ya it's actually them, paying all that stuff for. So those are two things that I offer small businesses. And the best way to get into a small business is through their accountant.
Right.
So send out a blast text, who does your taxes, and then approach those people, say, hey, I've been helping, and make sure that they introduce you, and you just say, hey, I help people with their finances, let me show you what I do. Try and get them as a client, and then at the same time say, hey, we could do this not just for your tax clients, individual people, but these are the things that we could also do for the small businesses.
And how's the introduction from your client to their tax advisor, to the accountant?
Es sencillo, es like you just say, hey, a esa persona sí se le puede mandar un texto, una llamada. They're not going to see him in person. Pero either a phone call or a text saying, hey, tengo mi asesor financiero que me ayuda un montón con la parte de jubilación, y quiero que hables con él porque él te puede enseñar unas cosas de deducciones en la parte de inversiones para la gente. So something like that.
Excelente. Oye,
So
muchas gracias, man.
that's trying to get bulk stuff and put it and get it all together. So the three best places that I've done workshops with are churches, daycares, and accountants.
Okay.
Then if you come across a nonprofit, then you want to try, or a small business, try and get in through the HR people. Because the people at HR are the ones that are in charge of benefits. If it's a small business, then just go straight to the owner. But try and get a friend of the owner to introduce you. Esa es
Okay.
la parte de networking that you got to try and manipulate your way through. So find a business owner, find out who their friends are, and you approach their friends. And then those friends will introduce you to what you're really looking for.
No, you open up a notion of opportunities.
Yeah. So yo constantemente, so I'm very good at prospecting. Like I prospect out and about like a beast. Pero that's really not the best way to do this business. The best way to do this business is through
Through
referrals.
referral.
Así fue que lo hizo Art, right? A friend introducing a friend. So yo pienso en eso todo el tiempo de que who do I want to try and approach and who are their friends? I think of that all the time. And then lo otro is every once in a while, I'll send out like 50 or 70 texts just randomly and I'll ask for something specific. So, como ejemplo, hace poquito I sent out 70 texts saying, who do you know? And these are to clients, people that I already know. And I've got, I don't know, como 1,700 y pico de personas on my phone, right? That are clients. Um, I've got more clients than that because I don't save everybody's number, especially people that I don't really have a relationship with. But entonces I'll send out, and I don't send out 100 or a couple hundred at a time. I just send out, just a handful, like 50 or 60 or 70.
Yeah.
So el último que hice hace unos meses fue, who do you know that has switched jobs in the last year?
Pero you
Why?
just come up with that, or you have a list or something?
No, yeah, I've got a list of things that I ask for. So, and there's a couple of like, who do you know that has switched jobs in the last year?
You
Why?
came up with it, or somebody gave it to you?
I've heard it in different places, but I've come up with a lot of it myself too. So
Wow.
I'll ask things like, who do you know that has switched jobs in the last year? That's the one that I use the most. Who does your taxes? Um, who do you know that just got married? Who do you know that just had a baby? Or who do you know that's got young kids?
Mhm.
Um, those are like the main ones that I've used the most. Let me see what
Wow.
with you. Referrals. Here we go. Referrals. Te voy a mandar esta nota of how I get referrals. It's long, pero whatever.
No, yo estoy muy agradecido con todo, Lu.
There's select all.
Muy
Boom.
agradecido con todo.
Así aprendemos. Yo aprendo de ustedes y de vez en cuando I've got some ideas and stuff that I've tried out over the years. So this is a super ass long ass note. So este es el sistema que yo utilizo to get referrals just through clients. So this is my client system. Client referral system.
Wow, bro, thank you so much, man. No
It's
sabes
a
cuánto te agradezco, man.
it's a process. ¿Dónde tengo esa cosa? Ask 100 people for 3 referrals. So check this out. Oh, that's another thing that I'll do is I'll say, "Hey, hope all is well. I need your help. I'm in a referral contest with my team. Could you connect me with 3 people? Contest requirement for the referrals are they have to be either married or have kids. Can you hook me up?" And then if they reply and or say something, I say, "Bro, I can't. I'm the number one guy. I can't let my team beat me. So hook me up." So
Okay.
una de las inversiones más grandes que cogí este año was through that referral text.
Oh, sí?
Yeah, it was like a $560,000 investment I got because of a referral because of that. I'm in a contest. I wasn't
¿Y
in no
qué era? ¿Un
contest.
rollover? De
Uh,
un...
era no, era un rollover que una persona heredó por parte del papá.
Mm,
Um, if they say yes, then I say, awesome, thanks. Do you mind sending them this text real quick? Because I'm not going to cold call them. So I always say that. I say, I don't cold call nobody. You got to introduce me. And this is what they say. Hey, wanted to connect you with a good friend of mine. my good friend and financial coach Luke Wittig, he helped me out a ton. So I wanted to introduce you. And no worries, no goofy sales pitch or nothing. So that's how I
Wow.
get my connections out. So the last, puse una nota. I sent 72 texts. Out of those 72 texts, I got 21 referrals that same day. And then later I got another 8, another 25, another 9, and another 3. So I don't know how many got until I just did that. And out of all those referrals,
Perdóname un momentico, un momentico. Bueno. Hola, nene. ¿Ya y qué?
so out of those referrals, I think I ended up closing like 20 some odd people.
Wow, wow.
Contacts and sources. Oh, and la otra cosa que hago mucho es referral partners. So, tú escuchaste que cuando estábamos en Colombia que se me murió un amigo, ¿cierto?
No.
So, cuando estábamos allá, el viernes en la noche, un amigo salió con la familia de él, con otra familia en un bote aquí on the St. John's River here in Jacksonville. It
Ujú.
capsized, and él, el hijo, la hija y la mamá se murieron todos ahogados.
No.
Solo sobrevivió la esposa.
No, man.
Yeah. Yo estaba vuelto una nada en el boot camp. Like I was so disconnected at the boot camp por esa mierda, parce.
Yo no
Porque la hija
sabía, bro.
de ellos era la mejor amiga de mi hija. We would go out almost every week.
Uy, man.
And he was a realtor. So, ahí se está conectando bastante. Pero we were putting together what we call a referral partner team. So I connect with other professionals like realtors. Even though we do mortgages, I got mortgage people, health insurance people, accountants, and things like that. And I get together with them once a month, either at Top Golf or we go out to lunch or something like that, and we give each other referrals.
Like a
Like I'm gonna
BNI.
give you contacts, and you give me 3 contacts. And if there's 10 people and you get 3 contacts, you get 30 referrals in one day from your referral partners, and you just maintain relationship with them and send them referrals all the time. Those
Like
are
a
referral,
BNI, right?
exactly like a BNI without the BNI and without the money on the BNI.
And how often do you guys get together?
Once a month.
Once a month?
Mhm. So, referral partners. Las 3 maneras que yo consigo contactos